That'd be absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn podcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to GWR Gonzo's Wrestling Room, Monday, September 8th, 2025. I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by Tony Gonzo'S, Warren Misery, and Marcus Fine. How's it going, guys?
Doing good.
Brady Bunch. How we all look towards the center.
Hey, don't be messing with our fans out there. You know, most of them are high, and you'll be screwing them. Well, guys, hope everybody's doing well today, and we'll get things started right away here with the Marcus Fine Independent Wrestling Report. I know he's got a bunch of stuff because we was off last week, so he's got a bunch for you.
I got a bunch. Okay, here we go. First off, we got prayers. Warren, our good buddy Warren here, he had a death in the family last week. TJ Powers had surgery, I think it was last week, might have been the week before. Kelly's been very sick. She's got bronchitis. Actually, she's getting over it, but she still gets punky during the day. And Chris, of course, he was off Thursday because he was sick as well. So that's what I have on prayers. Then we'll do a congratulations. Tyler Lee Deputy and Vanessa Holiday. We want to congratulate them on the birth of a daughter last week. So congratulations, Mama and Papa. All right, birthdays. Today's is John Downs. See, we won't call him Josh because today's his birthday. So for his birthday, we call him John Downs. AACW Superfan Rick Winters is today's. And then on Wednesday, we got Cassius Starr. That's Apollo Starr's son. Cameron Starr, which is a lady wrestler who used to wrestle in the area probably 10, 15 years ago now. Thursday is Aaron Anarchy. Friday is JICW and WCW Superfan Heather Laster. David Hall from NVW's on Friday. Then on Sunday we have Dale Patricks, Bobo Brazil Jr., and the Buck Sexton. So happy birthday to all of them. Okay, before I get the results, I want to go ahead and cover everything else. Kelly, it is the first Monday in September, so I know nobody else can do a top five, but Kelly and I got ours. So, Kelly's number 5 is Cecil Cerveza for winning the Hoosiers Championship. Number 4 is Mike Noble and Jeremy Hadley for winning the NVW Tag Team titles. Number 3 is Johnny Crisis for his title or in the career versus career match, Johnny Crisis in his match with Damien DeVille at the Milwaukee Iron. Number 2 is Damien DeVille for winning that match. And can we all guess what number 1 is? Even though he got beat out of him and he lost his title, guess who's still number 1 on our list? Go ahead and say it, Warren. I heard it.
Nerd is the word.
Nerd, even though he lost. And
well, that's not biased at all.
No, not at
How
all.
she got 2 losers on the list? She's biased.
No, she is.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
And she's just going to keep making Mike Noble's head bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, you wait till you hear the results. There's more bigger coming. That boy's on a roll, I'm telling you.
Straight butter.
All right, so here's mine. Number 5 is Congo Kong. He won the AACW EECW champion from Kelly's number 1. Number 4 is the Pharaoh King. Pharaoh King's on fire right now. He's got a win over Brody Botkins. Warren can tell you about his weekend. He's seen Pharaoh King over the weekend. So number 3 is Hagley and Noble for winning the NGW tag belts. Number 2, I have Damien DeVille for his showing defeating Johnny Crisis in the career versus career. My number one is Cecil Cerveza for winning the Hoosier State Championship at NGW. Okay, now where am I at? Okay, we'll do the shirt of the month or the week. Since we are starting to do, what the hell I got going on here? Hang on a minute. Hit a button. There we go. Let's put this away. Okay. We are starting Kentucky personalities. We'll start out with our good buddy and friend of the podcast, Joe Monroe's shirt. If you can see this.
Yeah.
This is the Joe Monroe shirt. He has these on sale, and I'll tell you where you can buy these. Hang on, I got to go to another page to get that. Yeah, hang on, I got to get up to the top of the result page. And it's a thing called Redbubble. The Joe Monroe Show shop, redbubble.com. And they're right around $21. They come in that black one, and then he's got a white one as well. So, okay, here we go. We have not been to any shows in a few weeks because Kelly's been sick, but I want to thank everybody who sent me results. And if anybody wants their results read off here on GWR, send them to me before Monday at, I'd say, 6. And we get them on there, and you'll see what I say. We got a lot of submitters this time. So, okay, we got to go back a couple weeks. This is thanks to my good buddy Wes Ryan, WCW Outlaw Arena, Friday, August 29th. Max Sterling defeated Billy Palmer. The returning Ruthless Domination defeated Jay Steele and CJ Cyclone. Timmy Jackson defeated Kenneth James. Waterboy defeated Will Asher. Phoenix defeated Jackson Morgan. Pogo defeated Kurt Busey. I must have messed up somewhere. Nope, I guess there's a lot of matches here. Andre Stray defeated Jason Levi and Cameron Saturn in a triple threat match. Brody Botkins defeated the Pharaoh King. Maliko defeated Zach Nova. And Mark Magnus defeated Mike Noble. And Mark Magnus is also on fire right now. Warren can tell you about that as well here in a minute. Okay, then Wes Ryan then sent me the WCW results from the Paragon Homecoming show, which was Saturday, August 30th. Cousin Cooter defeated Jackson Morgan. Pogo defeated Oso. He's one of the new trainees. Zach Nova defeated IK3. Jordan James and Billy Palmer defeated Mark Magnus at CJ Cyclone. Phoenix defeated Will Asher and Max Sterling triple threat match. Waterboy defeated Mike Noble. CJ Cyclone then defeated Jackson Morgan. And Timmy Jackson and Andre Stray defeated David Light and War Ready Maliko to retain the WCW tag team titles. Okay, now Steve Butler went on the road, and he's hit these promotions that I have not heard. Well, I wouldn't say I hadn't heard of them. I'm not that familiar with, so bear with me on these results. So Steve Butler went to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling in Dyer, Indiana. I think that was a couple Fridays ago. Jay Leone defeated the notorious TDC and the Submission Gustavo in a triple threat. DeCobra pinned Tony Thunder. That was his match of the night. Renee Van Peebles defeated Amina Belmont, retained the C3 Ultimate title, ladies title. And an 8-man tag team action, it was Team C3, which was Chris Classic, Kenny Nine, The Arc, and they defeated the Board, which is Kevin Zander, Mr. Young, Marcelo Spade, and Nameless. Now they regain the control of C3 Ultimate Wrestling. And Joseph Iyer Credit pinned D'Angelo Steele to become the new C3 Ultimate Heavyweight Champion. Okay, I only knew one person in that group. Backbreaker Wrestling on the ropes, Griffith, Indiana. I think this was 2 Saturdays ago. Tully Bertelli won an 8-man over-the-top rope gauntlet rumble to become the number 1 contender for the Backbreaker heavyweight title. That also included Busy B, Dave Allen, Chip Walker, Punisher, Joey Rancid, Thomas Keith, and Scott Powers. Jake Rome pinned Dave West to retain the Backbreaker Legacy title. The King of Old Style, Dick Davis, retained his Backbreaker heavyweight title by pinning Bentley Alexander Dawson, his match of the night. Johnny Blasphemy defeated Muggsy James with the help of the Punisher and one of their tag team belts. Oh, this is another company that's got all these titles. Let's see. The Backbreaker Brass Knuckles title. The champion always picks the stipulation. Cujo retained that title, retaining by defeating Richie Rothschild in a last man standing match. And then after that, Dave Allen attacked Cujo and set up a match for the next show, which I think was actually this weekend, but I don't have them results. All right, the Illini Pro Wrestling League Royal, Richton Park, Illinois. Christian Torrejon won a 20-man League Royal Rumble to become the number one contender for the IPW League Championship, and that included Baby Chocolate, Ashton Jazz, Marsh Rocket, Nick Diamond, D'Angelo Steele, Great Tiger, Crezo, Crooks, Steve Graham, Stampede Larkin, Jay Thunderboy, Chip Walker, Sensational Devin August, Classic Alpha, the Rockstar Johnny, Marco Riviera, Aiden Gray, Jason Dre Marcus, Morgan Taylor, and Kid Riot.
Was that pretty much the entire population of Illinois in that?
Yeah,
I think he said there was only like 40 people, so I think that was one of them where there was more wrestlers on the card than there was fans.
You said Baby Chocolate?
Yeah, Baby Chocolate was the first one on there.
I think I'm gonna change my name to Baby Caramel. I'm not. I think that's gonna be my new name, Chris. I want that up on my thing. I want Baby Caramel.
Well, you could do that yourself.
I don't know how to do that.
We'll get you set up. Okay.
That's awesome.
Money Man, Corey McHenry pinned Joey Dalton to retain the IPW Alternative Championship. That was the match of the night. Soul Taker defeated Aaron Stowe and Steve Michaels triple threat. And Miles Mercer defeated the Amazing Turtle, Shade Danger, and Diesel Trax to retain the IPW League Championship. All right, I got a question. Is there a point in time when there's just really too many titles in one federation?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, seriously, it's almost like you are the champion if you don't have a belt around your waist.
Yeah, seems that way.
All right, here we go. Still going here. Thanks to Buck Sexton, Warrior Pro 47, Danville, Indiana, Saturday, August 31st. Asher Steele pinned Parker Sexton by roll-up. Saron absolutely destroyed Joe Jitsu. Scorpion defeated Aaron Atlas. Buck and Dynamite beat Pharaoh King and Jet. I assume that might have been a tag title match. I don't know. Hadley retained the Warrior Pride title after T.Y. Ice was DQ'd. Shit, you guys are getting... Jared ran the gauntlet against Elijah Arrow, Scarecrows, Austin Ryan, and finally losing to the returning Jesse Winchester, who became the new WPW Heavyweight Champion. The Year 4 show will be on 9/28 and will be filled with special guests, and a match has already been announced. Jesse Winchester will defend his title against JB, the returning JB. So that was just announced this past week. All right, so our good buddy Steve Butler then went this past weekend to 01 USA presents Divine Berwyn Eagles Club. This was the ladies' show in Berwyn, Illinois, Friday the 5th. Dayami, pinned Tootie Lynn to retain the 01 US Shining Light title. Shaza McKenzie pinned Sophia Sivan. Gwen Neodonna defeated Ashlyn Alexander, Mercy, and Noelle Summit Fatal 4-Way. Blair Onyx pinned Izzy B. Lula Larena defeated Aaliyah James via submission. Rachel Armstrong pinned Leela Hall, co-match of the night. Freya the Slayer and Lilith fought to a double countout. That was his co-match of the night. Here you go. Killer Cake, which is Rain, Victoria, and Brittany Kay defeated Stelly Benson and Story Denali to retain the 01 U.S. Tag Team Championships.
Killer
Story
Cake sounds like a strain of marijuana.
Yeah, that Story Denali, she just was on Ring of Honor. I don't know if they've signed her yet or not. They've talked, but she's 6'3". She's a big lady. Not necessarily big and solid, but she's tall.
Because if you see Freya the Slayer, She's
Yeah.
a tall lady too, and he said those
Yeah.
two women were beasts because they weren't like you said, they big ladies. They are just very tall women.
Yeah.
And he said it was very well done. So
Hey, what's up, Justin?
Hey, Justin.
okay, now we're going to get back to this weekend. This is thanks to our buddy Michael Starrett, WCW at the Outlaw Arena Friday. Kenneth James defeated Waterboy. Phoenix and David Light defeated Pogo, and half the tag champs Timmy Jackson. Gunslinger Maliko defeated ZJK in a non-title match. The other half of the tag team champions, Andre Stray, defeated Cameron Saturn. The returning Zay Gates defeated the Pharaoh King. Will Asher and Jackson Morgan defeated Ruthless Domination. Mike Noble defeated Max Sterling, and Mark Magnus defeated WCW Outlaw champion Jordan James in a non-title match. All right, these are thanks to Wes Ryan, who was at NGW in Crawfordsville on Saturday. Kenneth James defeated Will Asher. Half of the NGW Tag Team Champions, Mike Noble defeated Asher Steele. Justin Myers defeated Eric Onyx. TK0 defeated Mark Modelo, and Andre Stray defeated Christian Cash in a submission match. All right, now these are thanks to Casey Starks, who this is for the Full Force AVW Full Force Weekend, September 6th and 7th, Danville, Illinois. Saturday night 1, Mark Magnus defeated David Light. T.Y. Ice defeated Alex Monroe to retain the key to the 210. Cecil Cerveza defeated Rico Jones. Phoenix and Will Asher defeated Quest Parker and Anthony Lopez. IK3 defeated Zach Nova. Here, get this. Jackson Morgan defeated Tyler Bodine. You remember him? JICW, Tyler Bodine, the cowboy guy.
Yep.
Reminds you of, Stan Hansen. And Mike Noble. Now here we go. Mike Noble defeated Excalibur and Kenneth James in a triple threat match. He is the new No Limits champion.
Damn.
Then on Sunday night 2, the pre-show saw Jay Steele defeat CJ Cyclone. And then the main show, hopefully I get this right, Cold Hard Cash versus War Beast ended when Maliko turned on Hidari. And Trauma Unit came in to save Hidari, so then a match was set up. The Trauma Unit with Hidari defeated Cold Hard Cash with Maliko. I think I got that right. Mike Noble defeated Eric Onyx to retain the No Limits title. Oliver Kane defeated Zach Abstract to become the new Mad Bash Baja World Champion. Jet Sexton and Jaden Knight versus Stetson Winters and Miguel Murphy. They went to pin Miguel Murphy, and I guess his leg was under the ropes. The management restarted the match. So VC's Most Wanted, which is Stetson and Miguel, won that match. B.A. Malkin defeated Kenny Calix. T.O.I. Ice defeated David Light and Pharaoh King to retain the keys to the 210. And the Cobra defeated Brody Botkins to retain the AVW Heavyweight Championship. And before I turn it over to Warren, who was there for those, I want to thank everybody who sent me results. As you can see, we had 4 or 5 contributors this time. Send them to me. We'll get them out there. So
Yeah, greatly appreciate it, guys.
yeah, a lot of wrestling over the last couple of weeks. I mean, there were shows literally everywhere. So if you didn't get out there, that's a good reason, like I did. So, and you guys did. So, all right, Warren, you were there.
I was there both nights. And before I get into full-on Warren mode, I do want to do a massive shout out to Mark Magnuson. Dude is great. His ring work is great. His crowd work is great. The locker room, he is great. Just positive, full of energy. You know, the guy keeps it up. I mean, he's gonna get somewhere. He was that good, that awesome. Now, let me get into full Warren mode here as far as it goes with AVW. Night 1, I was on commentary to start the night. But once again, like I've been saying, they kept talking about the shows, but never my suspension being lifted. So I was a little upset. So after intermission, I decided to get in the ring and confront a few people. And the ring announcer decided to go ahead and assault me unprovoked and stunned me, gave me a stunner right in the ring, took me out for the rest of the night. Well, had a little talk with my attorneys overnight. And so yesterday, yours truly was the host of the show. And I brought back up, I have my muscle, in Mr. Lawrence Bonpafo. And so I was the host of the night. And so I got to sort of, let's say, make my way into as now your official co-GM of ABW. And hopefully eventually I'll be the full GM of ABW. But unfortunately, the fans didn't like me. But hey, I'm not too worried about that. There's going to be some things coming down this at the next show here on the 21st at the Over the Top 21 Battle Royal. What was not hit on by Mr. Marcus and everyone, and I highly doubt I'm breaking the news on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and break it now. Is there will be a championship match at this show, and it is gonna be the Cobra defending his title against IK3. IK3 didn't take too kindly to him yesterday, and threw him around the ring a little bit before match, and yeah. So there's big things happening, but it was great shows both nights. Fans turned out. Fans were loud. Fans were vocal, and I love it. Everyone loves it, and yeah. So hopefully we can get everyone to the next show, and like I said, it's a fun time. So,
All right, I got something to say.
Speak.
Didn't see IK3 versus the Cobra back in the first of the year. That is still my match of the year.
Yeah.
Here's the rematch. If you can get yourself to Illinois on September 21st. Where's that go? Is it going to be at the skate park or the?
Oh, it's at 210.
At the 210. Get to Oakwood, Illinois, I'm stuck in August. September 21st at the 210, and to see the rematch between the Cobra and IK3, I guarantee this could be match number 2. They burned down the house, and how many guests have we had in rapid fire that said that was the match they've liked so far?
Yep.
So,
and I talked to IK3 last night. He's ready. He's focused, and he's a guy that I feel will bring what I want to see in ABW. So we'll see where it goes from there. Also, one thing that wasn't fully fleshed out here, but Cold Hard Cash does have a new member, and it is the Monster War Ready Malenko. He is part of Cold Hard Cash now. So this wasn't just a one-off. He's with them. So they're building themselves up pretty good. So, and there's some other things.
Malenko was smarter than that. I thought Malenko was smart now. Why would he join them goofs of Cold Hard Cash?
well, maybe I could pay Malenko to shut up Christian Cash. It's like, geez, this could be our benefit if we come up with enough money.
Yeah.
Hush money.
Well,
Hush that little bit.
And all I'm going to say too is, like I said, since I now am a co-GM of this, is you really need to follow All Vermilion Wrestling on Facebook. That's where all the news I put out, all the news everyone else puts out. So there's more coming down the tube. I'm just gonna. I mean, like I said, I know we're only a couple weeks out, but man, this show coming up will be great. See,
Sounds
great.
Somebody's getting happy about it.
Sounds great.
And we didn't want to take away from any of these other shows because Jesse Winchester as well. I mean, we got some good matches coming up here.
Yes.
So get out there and support wrestling wherever it is. So
last I knew, we're the only thing in town on the 21st. So unless I'm wrong, and anyone else feels free to let me know. But
well, I will say we did book a room, and it was considerably cheaper than it was this past weekend. And I know what the deal was because the casino was giving away $25,000 in a camper. People were staying in town at the casino, but we got half price of that. So
well, Marcus, is that all the result?
I'm done. Okay. Thank goodness. I'm dead.
We got a little time to kill. I've got a question for you, Marcus. I'm kind of put you on the hot seat a little bit. Who do you think is the most somebody that's been an independent and then went on to the next level? Who's probably been the biggest person you've seen? I mean, they started out independent wrestling and they moved up further.
Well, I would probably Moxley.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen Moxley, Shotzi, Billy Starr. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. If he asked me a question, I would have muted that. So
I would say for me, it'd probably be Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, we did see him on the Independence, but that was him. He had already been to WWE and then came back.
Well, he got fired. Yeah, but
He got fired and he went back.
It'd probably be Moxley probably then for me.
Yeah.
Then.
Because we seen Moxley on that show. Yeah.
Yeah, they're Salvation Army or whatever that place was.
But just to let you know, our special guest is in here whenever
Well,
you're
hey,
ready.
I'd say let's just go to it, guys.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen?
Going well, going well.
Right off the bat, I want to thank you guys for having me. I've been doing this a long time, and I know I'm at the end of my ropes, if you will, and I'm just very grateful that folks like yourself are still interested in an old man that's on his way out.
Hey, you come on anytime. We've had you on before, and you are incredible. So we appreciate you coming on. So you know how this works. Marcus will go first with the first question, and then Warren will go second. I will go third. Chris will go last, and we'll go for about 25 minutes or so. And
Right off the bat, can I plead innocent of all charges?
we'll put that on the record. Hey, Warren, put that on the record.
I got it. Yep.
Okay.
Safe place right here. Hey, ain't nothing coming after
Yeah,
you.
you we don't PG nothing. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna say it, say it.
Okay. Well, Marcus, let's get going.
All right. Well, it's good to have you back. You know Chris and Tony. You talked to them before. This is Warren. He just joined us. Well, it's been a year now, hasn't it?
Almost a year. Almost.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Welcome aboard, Warren.
Thank you. Pleasure.
okay. So for those of you that don't know, Mr. Diamond is a current manager in Kentucky. I've known him for, I don't know, 2-3 years now, probably. And
Probably a little longer.
yeah, I was trying to think how long ago it's been because it was that promotion in Frankfurt that ran in that shopping center. I think's the day we met.
So that's been about 5 years ago. Yeah.
So, all right. So my first question, as always, when did you become interested in professional wrestling?
Easy question. It was the summer of 1971. I ran into Bobo Brazil in the Atlanta airport. He looked, man, guys, let me tell you, when I tell you this guy looked so sharp, he could cut through glass. He looked so sharp. And from that moment on, I was traveling with my uncle, and I wasn't familiar with pro wrestling at the time. And so I looked over to my uncle and I said, look at that guy. He is really, whatever he does, I want to be a part of it. And my uncle says, well, you don't know who that is? And I said, no, I don't know, but I want to know. He said, that is the professional wrestling world's heavyweight champ. And, from that moment on, I was hooked.
Hey, Warren.
All right. I'm going to give you a time machine and a ticket front and center to any wrestling event in history. Where would you want to go?
Arcade, a Flair for the Gold, Harley Race versus Ric Flair, special guest referee, Gene Kaninsky, the first time ever the NWA World Heavyweight Champion changed hands in a steel cage.
Nice. That sounds like a fun one.
What do you think of that, Tony? We got somebody
I
out
love
there to the
I love it.
speaker, so.
I love it. Who has been the biggest influence on your wrestling career?
Again, that would have to be three people on the big stage. There's been many on the independent stage. First and foremost, Bobo Brazil, he introduced me to the sport. Ric Flair was always a favorite of mine. I got a chance to sit on 5 shows with him. And I got to say, my good friend, we got inducted into the Hall of Fame together, Tracy Smothers. Those 3 guys made a very huge impact on me. Again, I never got to meet Bobo, but if it were not for him, I would have not got turned on to pro wrestling. If not for Ric Flair, I wouldn't have bought my first suit. You know, I had my first suit made because Ric Flair had one the week before. And Tracy Smothers, when I met Tracy Smothers about 15 years ago, you know, we just instantly became brothers. And many people will tell you the same thing about Tracy. Great guy. He's been in my home. I've been to his home. We've done many things together. And I just, because we got to work together, again, Rick and I were on the shows together, but I didn't work Rick. But Tracy and I have worked together so much, and usually on the opposite sides. But, you know, with being able to work with him and then go home and sit and just pick his brain, you know, we would sit around. I got a bar downstairs at the house and stuff. We'd sit around the bar and we'd just talk for hours. I mean, hours. And so he was probably the most influential on me, Tracy Smothers.
We've had a lot of guests on here that's mentioned Tracy Smothers and talked a lot of good things about Tracy Smothers. We've heard that a lot.
I'm telling you guys, he was one of the most down-to-earth guys that you would ever want to meet. He was great at the sport. He had so much knowledge. He had been around. Look, he'd been to places that people didn't want to go. You know, he'd been to Guam and all these other places. Hell, he wrestled a live bear on 3 different occasions. That takes balls. And but he was the most humblest guy in the world. And I'll tell you, I've worked on many shows with Jerry Lawler, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Greg Valentine. You know, Billy Dundee and I was on the road together for 3 days one year. I've worked with so many big names, and they all bring something to the table. But I'll tell you this. There was only one guy. And when, look, they say, you know, to get the adulation of the fans, that's what we go out there and we try to do. But when you get that same magnetism with the boys, totally new ball game. And so all these big names that I've worked with, you know, some of them will sit over into a corner by themselves. Some have a dressing room to themselves. Tracy never done that. Tracy sat in the locker room with everybody, and I'm telling you this, and this is the gospel. Those guys and girls would sit around Tracy's chair, and I mean, not in cliques, not 4 or 5 over here, 4 or 5 over there. I'm telling you, Tracy would be like a king. Not that he act like one, because he didn't. He would sit in the locker room, and all the boys and girls would bring their chairs and sit around Tracy. I mean, as a unit, again, not 4 or 5 over here, 4 or 5 over there. As a unit, we all were collectively sitting around Tracy's chair, listening to him, listening to stories, getting advice. Because although he was a big name, so to speak, he'd been all over the world and worked for all the big companies. All the big companies. Tracy was always one of the boys. That never left him, never did. I spoke to him the Saturday. He passed away on Wednesday. I spoke to him the Saturday before, was going to go up to his house, and it was just the same. Hey, Scott, you know, I'm not feeling too good right now. It wasn't, hey, you know, look, no, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He spoke to me the same, no matter whether it was in a locker room, whether it was at his house, my house, whatever. He was always down to earth and one of the boys.
Oh, awesome. Chris?
All right. Before I do my question, Kelly has a question.
Here we
She
go.
wants to know.
Hey, how are you, young lady?
She wants to know who your favorite super fan is, Marcus or Kelly.
Marcus, I love you, brother. But Kelly, air hugs, honey. You are Scott Diamond's biggest fan, baby. You are. And I'm wondering why they don't got Kelly's face on here. You know, I'm sitting here with all these ugly guys, my ugly mug included, when we could have a pretty lady on the scene here.
Kelly's under the weather. She's recouping from bronchitis. So,
well, I wish you a speedy recovery, young lady.
My question is, what's the biggest difference in the wrestling business from when you got into the business to now? What's maybe like the biggest change you've seen in the business?
Respect. Look, I'm going to shoot straight with you on this. I usually don't use this type of language on podcasts, but it just pisses me the fuck off. When I walk into a locker room and I see some greenhorn that ain't in his bootlaces, has not even been in the business 2 weeks, and he doesn't get up and come and shake a vet's hand. He doesn't get up out of his chair and say, hey, you know, would you like to sit down? It just burns me up. Respect is the biggest thing we miss, because I'm telling you this, in my day, a vet would have slapped the dog shit out of you. If I come over and Marcus was the vet, and I didn't come over and shake his hand, and I didn't come over and offer him my seat, Marcus would have slapped the dog shit out of me. Today, they just look at you and go right on by you. And I'm telling you this, I'm not boasting, gentlemen. I got 4 Hall of Fame rings in 4 different states. I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I've done my job. But I want to preserve professional wrestling, because that is the most important thing to me. Scott Diamond is on his way out. You know, other great wrestlers have come and gone on their way out. There's going to be other great wrestlers coming up, because there are still a few that hold to the traditional values that we had. But the majority today, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You've always had those little cliques, you know, promoters and bookers wanting to bring their friends in that are untrained and stuff like that, and put them in a match here and there and whatnot. You know, you've always had a little bit of that, but it is so rampant now. It is blatantly disrespectful to our sport and the people that they're bringing in. They don't understand our tradition. They don't understand our business. They don't know even that you're supposed to tuck your bootlaces in. I go and I watch a match and I see a referee and his shirt's not tucked in. All of that combined is just totally disrespectful, and it just pisses me off. And I think that is the biggest change in our business. And people say to me, oh, Scott, you know, you're an old timer. You got to evolve. I understand evolving, but there's some things that hold true, which is one is our foundation and our tradition. And if you don't respect it, it's going to die. It's going to die. And I don't want to see it die. My son has started his career in professional wrestling. I taught him the old school ways. All of my students, I taught the old school ways. I can tell you this, if I walked into a locker room right now and there was one girl or one guy that I trained and I seen them not shake somebody's hand, to this day, I would walk over and slap the piss out of them, because although this is a cutthroat business, it's also based on respect. It's based on respect. When Arn Anderson brought the 4 Horsemen back together after Ric Flair's suspension for 2 years, when Arn Anderson brought the Horsemen back together, Sting and other guys was in the locker room crying their eyes out. And as Ric Flair said, it's because it's real. But to go beyond that, it was because of the respect that they had for those men in the ring, the respect that they had for the business. And that is just, it's going by the wayside.
Okay. Marcus?
Okay, well, you've been around. So take that. You've been around. Tell us what famed arenas you have worked in, because I know you've got quite a few.
Gosh, I've worked in Evansville. I've worked in Atlanta. Of course, everybody knows the Jeffersonville Arena. I've been there many times. A lot of history there. I've worked in the Corbin Civic Center. A lot of great matches down there. The London Optimist Club, a lot of good shows went on there. I mean, there's been a lot of places over the years that I've worked in, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them have a prestige all their own. And you know, I just wish that I would have been around to work in the Cow Palace or to work in Houston with Paul Bosch. Paul Bosch is probably my favorite promoter of all time. I just wish that although I've worked in some great venues, I wish I could have worked in those couple of places right there, or even in Memphis. You know, I've worked with some of the guys that worked in Memphis, and I wish I could have worked down there with those guys at the time. But excuse me, I came along just a couple of years too late for those venues.
Okay, Warren?
What's the storyline, or what history would you like to rewrite if you could go back and rewrite a specific storyline in history to something different that you would prefer?
The Montreal screw job. Black eye on the business. It shouldn't have went down like that. I understand the politics in the back. I've been involved in the politics in the back myself. But the Montreal screw job, here you have two great performers. Arguably, you ask so many people and they'll tell you Shawn Michaels was the greatest worker of all time. But you ask them who the greatest wrestler was of all time, they're going to tell you Bret Hart. So if you have the greatest worker and the greatest wrestler in a match of the magnitude that was, Vince, why did you have to do a screw job? Look, politics are for the back. They're not for in front of the fans. And if you have two great guys like that, just let them go out there and do their stuff. Because it's not about the politics, it's about the fans. And the fans got cheated with the Montreal screw job. Hell, the boys got cheated with the Montreal screw job. If I could rewrite anything, I would say, you know what, guys? You go out there, you listen to the crowd, and whatever the crowd feels, whatever you feel, that's what you do. I wouldn't even have gave them a finish. And I was a promoter a long time. Marcus will tell you, he's been to my events. I pride myself on giving most of my guys their finishes because you need that cliffhanger to come back with. You want the people to come back. But these two guys, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, you don't have to tell these two guys anything. And I think Vince screwed the fans. You know, they call it a screw job, but I see it. It wasn't a screw job as much on Bret Hart as it was a screw job on the fans and a screw job on the boys, because the boys legitimately wanted to watch this match of these two guys that they're icons in their own right.
Okay. If you could be any pro wrestler or manager or personality in the business, who would you be?
Scott Diamond.
Okay.
Easy question. I never wanted to be anybody but myself. You know, there's some guys and girls in the business that they will piggyback on established names. I never wanted to do that. I know that Scott Hall at one point in the AWA was a diamond stud, Scott Diamond. That was not where I got my character. My character came because everyone already knew my name. When I first came into the business in '87, before I got out to raise my two older children, my wrestling persona was Bo Evil, because I was fresh out of the Marine Corps and I just thought I was a badass. And but what I realized as I learned the business, Bo Evil was only a heel. He was only a heel. In order to be great at what we do, you have to be successful as a heel and a baby. Bo Evil could have never done that. So when I came back, people already knew me as Scott. They only knew my first name. So I didn't want to change that, because getting your foundation is the hardest part of anything. Excuse me. So they already knew me as Scott, so I didn't want to change that. And my granddad's name was Jim Lewis. So I even thought about playing off of Ed the Strangler Lewis, because my granddad's name being Lewis. And I thought, well, you know, just as I told you, gentlemen, I didn't want to piggyback off of anybody's name. So what I did is I wanted to pay homage to my grandfather. So what I did was, they used to call him Diamond Jim. So thus is where the Scott Diamond name came from. So I wouldn't want to be anyone but Scott Diamond. And hell, that's hard enough.
Okay. Chris?
Every show.
I got too many buttons going on over here. Who's your favorite opponent, or maybe your toughest opponent?
I'd have to say I've got two of those. You know, there was a guy, and Marcus, you probably remember him. There was a guy on the independent circuit. His name was TJ Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
TJ and I, man, we were up and down the road so many times. We worked so well together. So I always had fun with him. We didn't have to talk. It was like Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, which I don't want to put us in their category. But why I say that is, he and I didn't have to talk. we had such chemistry that when we went out there, it was just, we knew what we were doing before we ever done it. I could look at him, he could look at me, and we knew what was coming or going. So I always enjoyed being in the ring with him. I've done a lot of stuff with him. But another cat, using the term loosely, but another cat that I have to give credit to that I always enjoyed being around was Wildcat Chris Harris. You know, him and I have had street fight after street fight over the years. I was just telling this story the other day. My son, Austin Diamond, he was my biggest heckler when he was growing up. You know, he was born into this business, and he heckled me from the time his first wrestling match until just a year or so ago. And Wildcat Chris Harris took him under his wing when Austin was 6 or 7 years old. And so, although he and I didn't always see eye to eye at ringside, I always appreciated what he did with my son, and I always appreciated what I learned from him when he brought it. Because look, when he beat the hell out of me in Jeffersonville one night, gorilla pressed me and threw me into the third row. I mean, took me outside and drilled my head into the side of my own car. I mean, there's been times, you know, and I've beaten him over the years, but I never give him the ass whipping that he gave me in Jeffersonville that night. So I always appreciated what he brought to the table. And since we were kind of hometown rivalries, his parents lived about 5 miles away from my parents. So we came up in the same area. So there was always just a little bit of underlying animosity with us being, you know, coming up in the same area and stuff. So TJ Lightning and Wildcat Chris Harris is probably the two guys. And I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy being in the ring with the other people I've been in the ring with as a wrestler or a manager. But those two cats, when it come to wrestling, those two guys, I really enjoyed wrestling.
Okay, Marcus.
Wow, this question came at the perfect time. Give us your injury list. You just said he was in street fights, so I'm sure you've had.
Oh, Marcus.
Yeah, give us a short list, then.
I've had my teeth knocked out.
Give us the worst. Your worst injury.
I've had my teeth knocked out. I've had many concussions. Dislocated shoulder. Broken ribs numerous times. One time, Pondo put a cinder block on my testicles and busted it with a 12-pound sledge. So, you know, my left nut swelled up. It swelled up probably as big as the head on my shoulders. You know, I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing then, you know. So, you know, I've had a few injuries over the years, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was a learning experience, and some of them were accidents, some of them were not. But again, it comes with the territory. It's not, you know, it's not knitting, it's not badminton, it's pro wrestling, and people get injured, and that's just the way it is.
Warren?
All right, so I came in during rock and wrestling and have just always been a fan. And then it wasn't probably until just, you know, 2 years ago that I finally started going to, you know, indie shows down here, and within the last year actually being involved with shows. And at a convention, I met Jimmy Hart, and I asked him, you know, as I was trying to be a manager, you know, what kind of advice would you give me? And he said, stand out. I want to sit at your tree, Mr. Diamond. What advice as a manager would you give me or anyone else watching as a manager or a GM getting into this business?
As a manager, you want to remember it's all about your product, and your product is your wrestler. You want to make that wrestler look as good as he can look, because if you make him look good, he's going to make you look good. Because if you're out there and your wrestler is crap, then his manager is crap. If you go out there and you protect your product and you make him look good, you know, and you, like in the stage of the game that I am now, if you have the knowledge and you're out there with a younger guy or girl, you want to pass that knowledge along to them at ringside, you know, because a lot of them like to work too fast. You got to slow them down, kind of lead them a little bit. So if you want to be a good manager, you got to know when and how, and you got to make that product look the best that you can look. the best that you can make them look. Because again, look at you talking about Jimmy Hart, great guy. Look how good he made Hulk Hogan look. When he was in Memphis, look how good he made his guys look. He was always putting over his guys any way, shape that he could. Jimmy Cornette the same way. Although Jimmy busts my balls every time I see him. If you're making your guys look the best they can look, it's going to make you look good. And, you know, I think that's a testament for me anyway, as far as having these 4 Hall of Fame rings in 4 different states. I would have never gotten those, I don't believe, if I was not surrounded by good people. And when you surround yourself with good people and then you make them look even better, you're destined. You're just destined for greatness, I think. So if you want to go out and be a manager, go out and be a manager. Always put your guys over. Always put your girls over. Dress presentable. You know, you don't want to go out there in a T-shirt and some old dirty jeans. Look the part, play the part, and make yourself and the product that you're out there portraying. You got to look good. So look the part.
I appreciate that greatly. And I have this sort of like a workman's shirt. I always flat bill. It's sort of my, like I've said, I've tried to find a way to stand out differently from other managers that I see so many down here, just the ties, the buttons up. And I was like, I've always said to myself, what I got to find I thought I always had to find a different niche, something else that's going to stand out in a way. And
Yeah.
So that's what but I do try to make sure it looks crisp, it looks clean. I try to shave, I try to keep, things looking good. And, I honestly, I appreciate your words. Thank you so much for that. I take a lot of that to heart. And I know that's sort of my mindset already is. I want to make sure that they all look good. Because I tell the guys in the back, I said, what can I do to make sure you guys look good? Because this isn't about me. It's about you guys. And
Right on.
I have a lot of great communication, and thank you. I mean, the advice is great. I appreciate it so much.
Well, Warren, we used to have a saying, Warren, in the Marine Corps. I don't know if you've ever seen the Marine dress blues, but they're the baddest uniform on the face of the planet. But in the Marine Corps, we had a saying, and it was, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you work good. So you want to go out there, you want to look good. You want the people that you are out there with to look good. If you have the capability, you want to be in a tanning booth, you want to have a decent tan, you don't want to go out there looking like a raw egg. You just want to look the part. If you're going to be in professional wrestling, you don't want to come out in sneakers and a tennis racket. Now, I'm not hitting on Jimmy Cornette by no means. Jimmy Cornette looked good, and I'm just using that example. You don't want to come out looking like a tennis player if you're coming out for professional wrestling. You want to look like a professional wrestler. You want to speak clearly because, most of the time the manager is the mouthpiece. You want to speak clearly. You want to be very articulate. And if the folks can't grasp what you're saying or your look, if they can't get a connection with you, which is where Marcus and I became friends, we got a connection right off the bat. If you don't get that connection with the fan base, don't matter what you do, you're not going anywhere, because if they don't like you, something's wrong. You have to have that connection. And the way that I've always got that is I come out, all my suits are custom made. I've always surrounded myself with workers that were good at what they've done. Now recently that I'm trying to mentor some of these kids, I'm not always choosing who I'm coming out with. So I just deal with what I got to deal with. But I tell them the same thing. Before you go out there, look good. Do something with your hair, do something with your gear, have gear. Because so many of these kids nowadays, they want to come out in tennis shoes and put kick pads over their shoes and think that that's gear. That's not gear. If you don't take it seriously, the fans won't take it seriously. So look good and do a good job.
Okay. My question is, favorite meal to eat?
Marcus, you've been talking to him, haven't you?
No,
I love to eat.
yeah,
No doubt about it. I love to eat.
We all like to eat. Let's just put it that way.
So I like teriyaki beef. I eat a lot of beef and rice. I like steak and potatoes. And I love cannolis. I gained 100 pounds just on cannolis.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with
Tell my doctor that, would you?
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, Chris.
Muted.
My question's
It's
going to
the
go back.
red button, Chris.
My question's going to go back to something you said earlier. You were talking about how when you're at ringside, telling the young wrestlers stuff and about slowing down. We always hear the term about when we ask wrestlers like what's the hardest thing to learn. A lot of them will say slow down. And what's the best piece of advice they got was to slow down. To you, what does slowing down mean?
I was just in Tennessee mentoring these two kids the other night, and I had to tell them to slow down. Less is more. You don't have to go out there and do 500 moves. Do less moves, but allow those moves to resonate. If I've got Marcus in the corner and I know I'm going to throw 3 shoulders into him, I'm going to throw a shoulder into him and give it a 1001, 1002, 1003, because I want to slow down so that the moves will resonate with the fans. If I come in and I hit Marcus 29 times in 30 seconds, the fans are still trying to catch up with that. And I'm not trying to disrespect the fans at all. But when you sit down and watch television at night, if they showed you a 30-minute show in 15 minutes, would you be able to grasp it all? Probably not. Probably not. So what I mean by slowing down is get in there. If you got to bop a guy 2 or 3 times, bop him 2 or 3 times, and then go to the people. Let that resonate. Because if I hit him 50 times, the only move they're going to remember is the first one and the last one. Everything in the middle, you're not really going to remember because you're trying to just keep up. And if you're keeping up at a quick pace, it's really not resonating with you. So how can you enjoy something? I mean, if you like, let's say you like motorcycle racing. If all you can see is a blur going around the track, you don't even know who you're cheering for. So don't blur in the ring. Slow down, do your moves, let it resonate with the people, and then go on. Because if you don't, it's just you're wasting your time. I really feel like you're wasting your time, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Marcus, final 2 questions.
Oh, I got a whole page here.
Well, I'll see you, I think, in about a month, Marcus, so we can go over the rest of them if you want.
Man, I don't even know where to go with that. I know what my last one's going to be. Okay. Well, tell us some of the people you've had a hand in training that are doing very well today.
Gosh, Adrian Alexander he was probably my last student. He's doing very well. He runs Elite Wrestling Alliance. He's doing good for himself. I had a hand in training Marty Clay, John Noble, and Kyle Maggart was on the ground floor of that. But I had a hand in Marty Clay, which he's doing really well. Gosh, I've tutored, the Backwoods Buzzsaw, Nate Cross. I've tutored him some over the past. Of course, my son, Austin Diamond. There was a guy, I don't know if you remember, Marcus, I really liked, but due to family stuff, he got out. But Shipwreck was a guy that I had a hand in, and I really enjoyed working with him. His character took off, but due to personal stuff, he didn't stay in the business very long. The Russian Monster, Kentucky Stud, whatever you know him as. I gave him his character, as the Kentucky Stud. He struggled. We changed his name to I changed his whole character to the Russian Monster, and he started wearing championship straps all over the country. So there's been a few that come down through the lane, and again, to sit here and to name them all, as soon as we go off the air, I'll remember them all. But to sit here, I just get clouded.
Warren?
All right, the couple I like to wind up on. I got two good ones. I usually do. This one is WrestleMania is notoriously known for awesome entrances and great live band music. Who would you want to play you out, and what song for your WrestleMania entrance?
I think Lemmy and Motorhead probably had the best live theme, if you will. You know, they did Triple H's theme coming in, and I really think that I would have to stick with Diamonds Are Forever, but I would really like Motorhead, and you know, if we could bring Lemmy back from the grave, I think it would really be cool to have Lemmy do my entrance music. But I would have to, although they would put their own twist on it, I would still have to go with Diamonds Are Forever.
What I loved about that was it very Lemmy's like, we're Motorhead and we're here to kick your ass, and then they just I was like, yes.
Look, you know, it's. I mean, I know I'm a little older than you gentlemen, but I grew up with them guys, and he wasn't just a musician. He thoroughly was an entertainer. I mean, this cat, man, like you're saying, he could have just came out there and played the music and been great at it. But for the fact that he's going to let you know, hey, we're Motorhead, we're here, we're going to kick your ass. He's not just a musician. He was entertaining the people, you know, because look at the pop he got off of that. Hell, he wouldn't even have had to stroke the guitar for the first time because, like you said, as soon as he said, we're Motorhead, we're here to kick your ass, they went crazy. They went crazy. He was such a good entertainer.
Your favorite wrestling matches and moments you've seen live?
One of them probably would have to be in 1980. I seen the Masked Superstar, Bill Eadie, if you will, and Paul Jones against Ray the Crippler Stevens and Superfly Snuka. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life, man. And it's just phenomenal that when you see a guy as big as Bill Eadie, some saw him, you know, remember him as Smash and Act from the Demolition. My favorite Bill Eadie will always be the Masked Superstar. This guy was not only great on the stick, he could move around in the ring. I mean, he moved in the ring like he was 220 pounds. That was a great favorite match of mine. Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, I seen them in Cincinnati. It was probably 81 or 82. These two cats, look, I mentioned earlier about TJ Lightning and I having chemistry. If you never got to see Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat work live, you missed out. You missed out. These two guys, I'm telling you, they didn't have to speak a word. They had chemistry. Their matches, when you talk about continuity in a match, you would have to talk about Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, without a doubt. Because, man, those guys had it. Probably, as a singles match, probably the greatest match I ever seen. I mean, it wasn't bloody. It wasn't, you know, it was just a great wrestling match. If I had to think about a bloody match, it would have to be Bobby Duncombe and Blackjack Mulligan. But as far as just a fluid, great back and forth, traditional wrestling match, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, hands down, and I'm lucky to have been able to see that. You know, I find myself, again, very blessed, not only to be able to see some of the greatest wrestling personalities wrestle live, but I think also, you know, my generation has had the opportunity to see some of the greatest entertainers of all time, not just pro wrestling, but all across the board. And I just feel blessed that I was able to see not only those entertainers, but to see the professional wrestling stars that I've seen, because they are what kept our business alive, because we almost lost our business in the late 60s.
Yeah, Marcus knows I'm a big Masked Superstar fan.
Mhm.
I'm a huge Masked Superstar fan. I really, and I was lucky enough to see Blackjack Mulligan and Lanza take on Bruiser and Crusher in a tag match.
No kidding. Now there is one for the
many,
times right there.
Yeah, many years ago in Newcastle, Indiana. Yeah, so you got to see Bobby Heenan and Billy Red Cloud in a chain match.
There's another classic right there. Because Heenan, arguably one of the smartest guys that ever stepped into a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
He really was.
Okay, next, Chris.
Who's been the biggest name that you've got a chance to work with throughout your career?
Take a pick. Because I've worked with most of them. Like I said earlier, I worked with Rick. I've worked with Greg Valentine. I've worked with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I worked with Dan Severin. I worked with Bill Eadie and Barry Darcel. They were doing Axe and Smash. I've worked with Tito Santana. I've worked with Al Snow. Gosh. I was on the road, like I said, about 3 days, 3-day weekend with Billy Dundee. I've been on gigs with Jerry Lawler, Tracy Smothers, as I said. Gosh. I'll tell you, I've worked with a lot of the greats. Some of the newer guys would be the Boogeyman. I mean, it just, I could probably sit here all day if I thought about it and just give you a list upon list of names that I've worked with in the past. It's been a hell of a ride.
Did you ever get a chance to be around Hogan?
I did one show with Hogan, and actually somebody asked me this over the weekend too, because the promoter was a big Hulk Hogan fan. And this is my take on that. And I had personal reasons as well. The show that I was on with him, I was on a show with him, the Dudley Boys, Sting, the Hardy Boys, Sean Hernandez, great guy, Chavo Guerrero. I was on a show with these guys one time, and Hulk Hogan, I was, as bad guys, our money, we got to make money at the merch table. I mean, all bad guys, good guys, we all try to make money at the merch tables. And so I had somebody putting my merch out, T-shirts and things like that, and so the guy came and he said, hey, you're not allowed to put merchandise out because Hulk Hogan said that it takes away from his money. And I wasn't happy about it, quite honestly. I was like, hey, he's being a dick. Because the choice is the fans. The fans ought to have the choice. If they want to buy a Scott Diamond T-shirt, or if they want to buy a Hulk Hogan T-shirt, which a lot of people bought Hulk's merchandise. He was probably the most marketable guy next to Gorgeous George of all time. But I didn't like his business ethics when it came to saying, hey, the independent guys cannot put merchandise out because it takes away from money from us. And I don't feel that way. I feel like you ought to put, if you got 50 guys out there, then all 50 guys ought to be able to put their merchandise out there and let the fans choose where they want to spend their money. So for that reason, I was not a Hulk Hogan fan. I did sell a lot of merch out of my trunk of my car that night, though. But, my take on Hulk Hogan was, he was very marketable. Again, probably the most marketable guy ever to come down the pike, other than Gorgeous George. But as a person, I didn't care for Hulk Hogan.
Okay, Marcus?
Final one?
Yep.
Funny story time.
And Marcus said when you and I talked the other day, I've been trying to narrow them down. And I came down to 2, if I may.
Yep.
Marcus knows me. He knows I'm long-winded, but I'll try to keep these 2 short. So the first one, the Russian Monster and I and Kid Mac, we went and did a radio show one morning. And so other than Kid Mac, the Russian Stud and I, the Russian Monster, we were both heels, and Kid Mac was the only baby at the radio studio. So of course, the two DJs, there was a man and a woman there, and they was just loving all up on Kid Mac. You know, here he was a little person, and here he was with these two. I mean, Stud is like 6'7". He's huge, and we're just giving him hell. The entire radio show, we was on from like 7 to 9, and it got so bad. There was a couple of businesses across the street, and they all started coming in like at 8 o'clock. And so when they all started coming in, they had been listening to this radio program on the way to work. And so the people that worked right across from the radio station, they just start banging on the door to the radio station, and they're cussing and they're hollering, and they're going off because the Kentucky, the Russian Monster and I are giving this little person so much grief. I mean, we started beating him up in the studio and all this stuff. And so, you know, I pile drive him on the floor, and then, you know, we're talking about, and of course, the two DJs are like, oh my God, you know, they just beat up this little person, and Scott just pile drived him on the floor. And, you know, so the people across the street in these like 2 or 3 businesses, it was a hair salon and something else. So they get so angry, they call the police on us. They shut the whole damn radio station down for an hour because they wanted to get a hold on why this Russian Monster and this Scott Diamond guy is beating up a midget in the radio station. So they shut everything down for an hour, and we was basically held hostage for an hour. I always loved that. That just always look. And if you get a chance, Marcus, ask the Russian Monster about that. He'll tell you it was great, man. It's like, holy shit. You go in and you try to do your job, and they call the police on you, which I've had that happen many times, but never at a radio station. And then the other one, my gosh, I saved this one because this is what I want to leave etched in your head, because it's etched in my head for the rest of my life. So I was booking like 7 programs at once here a few years back. And one of those programs I was writing and booking for was Wildcat Championship Wrestling. And so when I was over there in Lawrenceburg at Wildcat, I had a table in the back that I used as my desk. And so, you know, I'd get an ideal come to me in the middle of a show, and I'd just go back there to the desk and I'd write it down. And so I don't know if you all know Brock Landers, a.k.a. Rod Hicks. But over here at Wildcat, I mean, I had a tanning bed. I had weights. I had elliptical, all these exercise equipment. I had all this exercise equipment in there. And so I sit down at the table, and oh man, I can't get this out. I sit down at the table. Can Kelly still hear us?
I believe so.
Hold your ears, dear.
Oh, she said worse, I'm sure.
So I go over to my table, and I sit down, and I get in my book, and I'm just writing this stuff so I don't forget it. And Brock Landers is behind me, and he hollers, "Hey, Scott!" And so I turn around, and he's on the elliptical, butt ass naked, and I don't have to tell you who was swinging more, his legs or his arms, because it wasn't girls. Sorry about that, guys. I got 2 Chihuahuas, smallest dog, biggest mouth. And so, Rod Hicks, Brock Landers, if you will, is on this elliptical. And I'm telling you, man, he's just going as fast as he can go. And like I said, you can't guess if it was his arms or legs moving the fastest, because it wasn't neither one of those, if you get my drift. I turned around and I said, oh, my God, get the bleach. I got to wash my eyes out. And as much as I've tried to forget that over the years, I cannot forget that. And so, like, if you fast forward to it was 3 or 4 years ago, I met his new fiance, and he said, "Oh, Scott, this is," and he introduces me to her. And I said, "Oh my God, Rod, you didn't tell her the story of the elliptical, did you?" And he says, "Why did you have to mention that?" I said, "Because that's the story I don't want anybody to know." Oh gosh.
Okay, Ward.
All right, I try to palate cleanse after those every time, so mine's easy and simple. What would you consider yourself, a degenerate or an NWO guy?
I'm a horseman.
Yep. See, yeah.
We've had that people write that in, so you're not the first to do that. So good deal.
So I've always, and this is why I say that. Not only was a horseman a favorite fashion of mine, the Diamond Cartel, when I came up with the conception of the Diamond Cartel, I only wanted 4 people at most. I wanted a tag team to be tag team champions. I wanted a guy that could work and become a heavyweight champion. Excuse me, and myself. There's your 4 people. Although I did have a female, the matriarch of the Diamond Cartel was always Amazing Maria. So she, in essence, I had 3 guys and 1 woman, and in our heyday. And so that's really what I always wanted. You know, the horsemen, they were good enough, but small enough. They all could fit on scene at the same time. They all worked very well as a cohesive unit. The NWO, the first conception, Hall, Nash, and Hogan, great. But when they started putting everybody else in there, our business is the proverbial good versus evil. With the NWO, you didn't have that. They had to go out and win every time. And, I try to win myself. Don't get me wrong. When I go out there, I had the mindset that I'm going to win. But if you have the good win all the time and you don't have evil, you don't have wrestling. If you have evil win all the time and good doesn't never win, you don't have wrestling. Because, again, it's the proverbial good versus evil. And if you have an unbalanced, which I think the NWO was, if you have an unbalanced good versus evil, you just don't have wrestling. And the NWO, they got away from that. And I really believe that's what brought the WCW down.
My question is, your big 4, your Mount Rushmore of wrestling.
I got to say Dusty Rhodes, the greatest talker to ever get on a mic. When I sat and I listened to Dusty Rhodes, I believed every word that he said. Every word that he said, I believed it. I felt like he was in the room with me. So Dusty Rhodes would definitely have to be on there. Ric Flair would certainly have to be on there. Because when you wanted Rick to be good, he was real good. When you wanted Rick to be bad, he was real bad. 5-time PWI, most hated wrestler. I think probably Stone Cold Steve Austin would have to be on there because he was the guy that everybody wanted to be. Now, don't get me wrong. There's wrestlers out there that we say, I wish I could be this guy. I wish I could be that guy. Steve Austin was every guy that ever put in a job, every guy that ever clocked in. That was Steve Austin. Because who would not want to go up and slap the shit out of their boss? I don't know anybody that would not want to slap the shit out of their boss. So Steve Austin would have to be there. And then on the same pedestal, probably the greatest NWA champion of all time would be Harley Race. Harley Race was the consummate wrestler. And he was a legit tough guy. Everybody was afraid of him. Hell, Andre the Giant was afraid of him. So, Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes, they paved the way for guys like Ric Flair and Steve Austin. And without those 2 guys, there wouldn't be no wrestling. There wouldn't be no wrestling. So, to answer your question, I guess Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Ric Flair, and Steve Austin would be my Mount Rushmore.
Well, that's a good one. Warren?
I'm done. Chris now.
It'd be my turn.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Chris.
What I do for my last question, it's not really a question. I give give our guests a chance to basically promote yourself, let people know where they can find you, any upcoming shows, social media, any of that good stuff.
September the 25th and 26th, I will be in Tennessee with OWA down there. I believe it's in Oneida, Tennessee. October the 14th, which is on Tuesday, we're trying to make that round trip again that the Memphis boys used to make from Memphis to Louisville to Evansville and stuff. So October the 14th, I will be in Jeffersonville, Indiana with All Pro Wrestling. And right now, I would say that's all I got coming up. Because I've got some stuff going on personally that I'm going to have to take a little. I'm not going to take any big time off, but I've got a couple of weeks in there where I got to do some doctor appointments and things like that. You know, I'm getting old and I'm paying for some of the things I did when I was young. So, yeah, this month I'll be in Tennessee the 25th and 26th. And actually, this weekend, here's a scoop for you guys. I will be making my debut with Wildfire Championship Wrestling this weekend, September the 13th. It's in Prestonburg, I believe it is. But so it's September the 13th with Wildfire Championship Wrestling. I'll be over there with Shane Douglas, the Rock and Roll Express, Onyx, Wild Bill Rich, Tommy Rich, Adam Newsom, and those guys. Great bunch of guys over there. They got a hell of a card going on. I'm telling you, and not knocking anybody, and no pun intended, but if you want to check out a program that is literally on fire right now, it's Wildfire Championship Wrestling. Again, some of those guys I've worked with before. I've worked with Tommy Rich. I've worked with the Rock and Roll Express. I've worked with Shane Douglas. I've worked with Onyx. These guys are top tier guys, and this promotion really has it going on. So if you see those that marquee in your area or close to you, definitely go check out Wildfire Championship Wrestling because it's literally on fire. So I'll be making my debut there this Saturday, and then I'm headed, like I say, to Tennessee for 2 days the following week. And then I come back and do a Tuesday night in Jeffersonville on October the 14th. So that's where Scott Diamond's going to be here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That the VA, if you want to come go with me, Marcus.
Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on with us.
Well, I appreciate you, gentlemen. Like I said, I've had a great career, and I know it's kind of dwindling down right now. This year or next year will probably be my last years. I know I tried to retire once, and it just didn't work for me. But again, it's time to pass the torch. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's always great. Kelly, if you can still hear me, I love you, gal. I hope you get feeling better. And gentlemen, I mean this. I appreciate y'all taking the time to have an old guy on your program. Because I still got stuff to bring to the table, baby.
That's what I say. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you're doing and going to continue to do. I mean, seriously, this was awesome. I found this to be so great to hear stuff from someone that's been up and down those roads and traveled them, and to really just get into that. I really appreciate that. And all I can say is thanks. That's on my end.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
And we'll have to have you on again sometime. Again, we greatly appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Well, I look forward to it, and I would do it anytime. And Marcus, I'll see you at ringside, brother.
Yep. You will. I don't know when.
If you're going to be at EWA this weekend, watch my kid because he's going to be out there. But like I say, I'm going to be on the road. I've been on the road probably 8 out of the last 10 or 11 days. So I won't see you at EWA this weekend because I'll be down here at Wildfire. But I'll see you soon there on the road there, Marcus.
Yep, somewhere. Yep.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
That was real good, guys.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, outstanding.
which
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be because it was awesome last time he came
Yeah.
on with us. So I was looking forward to this time as well.
Yeah, you guys probably way before your time, not Marcus, but Mass
Well-
Superstar. I like Mass Superstar more than I did his other stuff. So
Well, it's funny. I just watched a house show from Market Square Arena, and it was Mass Superstar and Dick Slater. No, it wasn't. It was Ray Stevens.
Oh.
And it's like, wow. It's like, and then he brought that match up. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, I would have loved to see that.
yeah.
You got guys. Don't forget this coming Thursday, Baby Caramel. Yeah, we'll get Baby Caramel going.
Yes, I agree. Baby caramel, man. And Glenn's gonna be baby white chocolate, I guess. That's what he said. But whatever.
All right, Chris. I think we're taking Thursday off. It's done.
It's Baby Caramel and Baby White Chocolate.
Hey, what did Bobby call you? He said you was a big baby. Did he, Marcus?
Yeah, more one time.
That one time he got mad about Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's my dad. You're right. Yep, that's my friends. Yep.
Hey, Marcus, Chris seen Bobby at McDonald's, and he got the riot act.
And then what made him buy his Big Macs and fries?
He already had his Big Mac and fries already.
Hey, I got some shows. You want me to announce the shows I know of this weekend?
Yeah, go ahead real quick.
Okay, Saturday, WCWO's in Beech Grove, corner of 7th and Main Street, 7:30 bell time. It is a free show. Kelly and I went to one of those 3 or 4 years ago. They do pretty good work. They're also doing a raffle there at Beech Grove. You can win a 55-inch color TV or a Promoters Club Championship belt. So some big prizes there. And then on the 12th, Supreme is running down at the Knights of Columbus at Seymour, Indiana. $12 at the door, $10 in advance. Their bell time 7:30. And Wrestling Theology returns to Carmel on Saturday. It'll be at 10330 North Meridian in Carmel. I don't know if that's in a Mercy Church or not.
I don't think so.
But because with the last show we were in Carmel at the Mercy Church, that was the last show because they were going to, those chairs in the Mercy Churches, you can stack them up.
Yeah.
And they were redoing the sanctuary where I think they were mounting chairs to the floor and they couldn't move them. But so yeah, that's what I have for this weekend that I know of. And Scott was right. Elite Wrestling Alliance is in Danville this weekend. I won't be there. I'd like to, but I won't. But and then wherever that town he was in. So, and there's a lot more. I just don't have them in front of me.
Well, everybody have a good night, and a good week, and a good weekend. We'll see everybody next Monday.
That time of the year again. Go Lions.
Yeah, please hit that subscribe
Go,
button
go.
on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. Like and follow Facebook, Twitch,
Indiana
Instagram,
Jones.
X, all at Gonzo Sports Room as well. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
Here, this is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my